Good morning, everyone. My name is Sharmila, and I am delighted to be your worship associate this morning. It's so great to see you. Welcome to our first hybrid worship service, with people both present in worship hall and streaming to others taking part from their homes or wherever they may be. Thank you for joining us in person or for welcoming us into your home. We would like to acknowledge that our FirstU campus is located on traditional, unsurrendered, and unceded Algonquin Anishinaabe territory, and that the work of reconciliation is a responsibility of our congregation and of all Canadians. Our goal is to educate ourselves and all who have ears to hear, to be of service to those who are at risk, and to advocate for justice. Do take care and take advantage of online opportunities at FirstU to stay in touch during this time. If you are new to FirstU and would like to learn more about us, please contact us through our email at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. Following our service at 11:30 a.m., please join us as well for a special version of our traditional hospitality hour. You will find the Zoom link on our website at firstunitarianottawa.ca or in our weekly email newsletter, the EUU. I would now like to call upon Brent Nicole from the board for some announcements.
Thank you, Sharmila. I have two board announcements and several announcements from the Environmental Action Committee group to share. From the board, we have a board meeting this Wednesday, starting at 7 p.m., and interested congregants are welcome to attend. If you are interested, please email president@firstunitarianottawa.ca for meeting materials and the Zoom link. Secondly, a week Saturday, on Saturday, October 2nd, FirstU will be holding a town hall concerning the proposed addition of an 8th principle on dismantling racism within us and around us. This special town hall will include personal perspectives, group discussions, and information about the national CUC vote in November. It will run from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. with a noon hour break for lunch. Please look to the EUU for more details and the Zoom link. From the Environmental Action Group, Monday's action is, of course, if you have not yet done so, to vote for a candidate or party who will best move the environmental agenda forward with urgency. Friday, if you so wish, your action is to join Friday for Future's global climate strike at Confederation Park at noon. There you can pressure our political and corporate leaders to take decisive climate action post-haste. Just because the federal action will be over, the climate emergency is not. You can also sign the One Earth, One Vote petition letter. Tell them that we will vote for those that will uphold environmental protection, social justice, and Indigenous rights. And here's some good news. Remember our letters to the City Environment Committee? At the September 21st meeting of the City of Ottawa's Environment Committee, Councillor Sean Menard will make a motion to request the Government of Ontario to develop and implement a plan to phase out gas-fired electricity generation and call for consideration of alternate sources of energy. Next step, hopefully, City Council. If you wish to read the entire motion, comment on the motion, or attend the Zoom link, or attend the Zoom meeting, or if you wish to find other links concerning any of the previous announcements, check the links in the EUU or on the Climate Confrontation page from our website. Sharmila?
Thank you, Brent. And just a reminder that during the continuing responses to COVID, we encourage you to sign up to receive the EUU, our weekly email newsletter, check our Facebook page, and our website for notices and updates. Our calendar is as full as ever, albeit much of it online. Whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love and however you identify, today you are part of our spiritual community.
Thank you, Shamila. Brent. Bonjour, mes amis. Bonjour. That's about the extent of my French. Good morning, one and all. Whether you are here at church or watching from your couch or kitchen table, welcome. This morning is our annual homecoming celebration. Welcome once again. It is so good to be, even imperfectly, together once more. And welcome to our members from Unitarian House and the dear souls playing in religious exploration just outside back there. We light our chalice this morning to these words adapted from those by my colleague and friend, Barbara Hamilton Hallway. We gather here as individual people, young and old, male, female, and beyond, temporarily able and disabled, gay, lesbian, bisexual, and straight people, all the colors of the human race, theist, atheist, agnostic, Christian, Buddhist, feminist, humanist. We gather here as a community of people who are more than categories. We gather here, each ministering to each other, meeting one another's strength, encouraging wholeness. We give thanks for this extraordinary blessing, the gathering together of separate, unique individuals as a whole, one body, our church. Here may our minds stretch, our hearts open, our spirits deepen. Here may we acknowledge our brokenness and be ever stirred by love's infinite possibilities. Our chalice is lit, and now let us listen to our welcoming hymn sung by Doug and Pat McDonald before Jody offers our story for the day. Pat, Doug?
Fortune never bright. Good morning. Our story this morning is called The Invisible Web by Patrice Karst. The very best news ever has begun to spread all over the world, one heart at a time. Shout it from the mountaintops. Every single one of us is connected to those we love by invisible strings. That means Giovanna and her daddy are always together, even though he moved to a new house. Omar can feel the tugs of love from his parents, even though he is living far away at school. Mr. Chang still feels Mrs. Chang close by, even though she died such a very long time ago. And you, at this very moment, may feel the string of someone close to you, even though they aren't there. You can't see it, but it's real. Our strings reach to everyone we know. They travel far and wide to families and friends, classmates and coaches, to bus drivers and babysitters, neighbors and pets, to aunts and uncles and grandparents and grandchildren and countless other people. And all of those people have hundreds of strings. Soaring high over rocky peaks and across the 7 seas, deep into jungles and valleys, and winding through the busiest of cities, all these strings crisscross on another and create a nest that covers the planet, interlacing us together, cradling us forever, this invisible web. The web has no borders and wraps every continent. Within it live butterflies and flowers, starfish and seahorses, lions and ants, rivers and snowstorms, and all human beings. Giovanna, Omar, Mr. Chang, and of course, you and me too. Some say it even reaches to our ancestors and those we cherish in the beyond. One tug on a string sends love to every one of us, woven together in this divine tapestry. And that means just one good deed travels across the entire web. Everything is linked. But sometimes folks forget. When they can't feel their strings, they forget about our invisible web. And that's when strings get tangled up. Like when lonely Louisa isn't invited to sit with anyone at her school at lunchtime, or when sad Stefano wishes his friend Marcos wasn't so bossy when they played, or when Mrs. Patel struggles at work without help and she just wants to quit. Even violence and war can erupt when too many of us forget the web. When strings are ignored, they can become weak and begin to unravel. But the more people who care for the web, the stronger it remains. The web feels like every parent since the beginning of time, holding and protecting each one of us in millions of gentle arms. What could be stronger than all those hands holding us close? So many supportive fingers can always find a way to untangle strings so that love can flow again. But it's up to every one of us to spread the word. Our time is right now. As we tell our family and friends, sisters will remind brothers, who will write to cousins, who will call their great-grandparents, who will just nod and smile as if they have always known. If we remember the web and tug it At it often, nobody will ever be left out. We will see others more clearly. The people of the world will look into each other's eyes. They will smile at one another. And when one of them cries, they will all want to help. And they do. Marcos apologizes to Stefano, who forgives his friend, and they have even more fun playing. Someone helps Mrs. Patel at work and tells her what a great job she's doing. She remembers that she's important and feels happy. And Louisa, she feels warm and bubbly inside when a few of the kids in class ask her to join them under the banyan tree for lunch. She knows right then that the invisible web is real. After school, Louisa cries with joy as she strokes her cat, who purrs the news to the stars, and the stars whisper the secret to the clouds, who share it with the songbirds, who serenade the world with this exquisite melody of love at the start of each morning and all during the day until as the invisible web glitters in the magic of twilight, the owls take over and hoot the news throughout the night. The invisible web is alive. Its time is right now. It breathes as we breathe, pulsating all over our earth, the single heartbeat of life and love. And do you know what that makes us all? One very big family. P.S. I just love being right here in the very middle of the invisible web with you. Patrice Karst.
Thank you for that lovely reading of the story. We now have the call for worship. It's titled The Buzz by Reverend John T. Crestwell, Jr. It's Sunday morning. I am scurrying to get things organized, walking in and out of my office, up and down the aisles in the sanctuary, back and forth through the building. Hey, how are you? I say to members who arrive early. My thoughts follow their usual pattern. I need to put my sermon on the lectern. Are the microphones set up? Where's the worship associate? The choir sounds ready. Then I remember that I have a last-minute change to the hymn, so I head to the sanctuary again. Hello, choir. I chat with the music director for a bit and then head back to my office for a few seconds of meditation. On the way, I meet more people and chat with them. Look at you. Thanks for letting me know that. I'll call you this week. I get back to my office with 17 minutes to spare. I leave the door open. I take a deep breath and stare out the window, watching people arrive. I listen to little feet running down the hall, kids laughing. The sound of chatter is all around. In this moment, I recall lyrics adapted from Doris Akers that speak to the electric energy of the gathered people. There's a sweet, sweet spirit in this place, and I know that it's the spirit of our love. I put on my robe and head to the door to greet folk. I wait as long as I can to go into the service so I can make sure to speak to as many people as possible prior to worship. As fewer and fewer people arrive, indicating to me that I need to begin the service, I am able, just for a moment, to hear an even sweeter sound. It is not as fragmented as the sounds heard from my office. This sound is polyphonic. made up of many sounds, but essentially it is one sound. It is a buzz. It has intonation, quality, and pitch. It is a happy sound. It is coming from many different places and from many different people, but it is a unified reverberation. It is the sound of hope. Come, let us worship together.
My name is Reverend Ellen Bell. I am the spiritual care visitor for this congregation. At this time in the service, we recognize people's personal joys and sorrows. This is done by placing stones in water and allowing the ripples to take their messages out to the universe, where people can either commiserate or congratulate. The first stone today is a stone of sorrow, but also a stone of the celebration of life of Doris Jelly, who died last weekend. Another stone of sorrow for the ongoing tragedy in Afghanistan. The Taliban has closed all the secondary schools for girls. Well, this is not a good sign. I know this has already been mentioned, and we're sick to death of it, I'm sure, but tomorrow is Election Day, so if you haven't voted already, please do so. Our democracy is a very fragile thing, and we must make sure we don't lose it. A stone of sorrow. Sadly, COVID has not gone. In some places, it's getting worse. And I heard on the news this morning that there are outbreaks in several schools in Ottawa. So it's not gone, so we must continue to be very vigilant. And if you haven't been vaccinated, please, please think about doing so. One last stone for all the joys and sorrows held in our hearts. We will now have a moment of silence.
Thank you, Ellen. And now, in honor of our homecoming, our in-gathering Sunday celebration, I've invited one of our newer members, Jill Swann. She was holding up the story for us earlier, to talk a little bit about what drew her first and what keeps her here at FirstU. Jill?
To see so many familiar eyes. Can you hear me? Oh, good. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see so many familiar faces and eyes. My name's Jill Swann, and I've been coming to FirstU for about maybe 4 years. and I come with my daughter Sylviana, who's 7 years old. My husband doesn't come with us because he attends the Church of Netflix every Sunday morning, and he's very, very devout. What first drew me to FirstU, I'm not totally sure, I can't totally remember, but I think what it was images in the media of a little boy who had drowned on a beach in Greece. I don't know if you remember Alan Kurdi. He was 3 years old and he drowned with his mother and brother trying to leave Turkey as refugees from Syria, trying to get to Greece, and unfortunately they drowned. So when I saw these images on TV, it really affected me deeply because my daughter was probably only 1 or 2 at the time. So I Googled refugee sponsorship Ottawa, and FirstU came up, and I thought, I need to look into this more. And as I looked into it, I realized that my values aligned quite closely with this congregation, so that's one thing that brought me here. So not long afterwards, I came with my friend Nicole and her mom Mary, who was visiting from Washington State because she's a member of Unitarian Universalist congregation in Washington State. And I remember being here and really liking the atmosphere and enjoying the sense of community. And afterwards, with my green mug, I spoke with Terry actually, and he said, "Why are you here and what brought you here and how do we get more people like you to come?" And I said, I don't know why I'm here and I don't know how to get more people like me to come. But I wish I knew the answer. But I really liked it here, so I kept coming back. And I also really enjoyed the services, and the singing actually often makes me cry, which is good because it's very cathartic, and I don't like to cry, so it's good to cry. Another big thing that keeps me coming back is the religious education for children. So my daughter really enjoys that whole programming, everything that went on downstairs. And I really liked seeing that there was programming for children, and not just her age, but older children as well, the Our Whole Lives programming and the Bibleodian and all the interesting initiatives they have going. So I'm hoping that she can feel a sense of community here as well and feel like there's a place for her here and grow. Yeah, I think that's about it. So yeah, I'm just really happy to be back here today. Sylviana and I generally attended the live streams on YouTube in the bathtub, so it's nice to put on some clothes today and a mask and be here in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jill. Early last month, when members of the congregation's welcome and membership team and I met first together, we sat on a circle, question mark, of chairs in the parking lot and began by sharing with one another what drew us to this faith community and what keeps us committed to both the promise and the realities of this place. As we went around the lopsided circle, those who had known each other for years learned new things about one another, and it was a perfect way for me to learn something about each other person there and the group as a whole. In the words of a comic book loving colleague of mine, we all have our own origin stories, and they are worth telling and listening carefully to. So thank you for your FirstU origin story, Jill. I once heard that the biggest competition our denomination had is not the Catholics or United Church, but the Church of the New York Times. To hear about the Church of Netflix, to which your husband is an avid member, well, we really do have our work cut out for us, don't we? All the same, I hope we can hear the origin stories of others in coming weeks. That's my prelude to this address. But I also have to begin by saying this. Oh, it is so good to be with all of you this morning. We are here both in person in this home of glass and cedar overlooking the Ottawa and beyond. Kitchen tables, couches, wherever people may be. How much this makes me long for the days when we can open our doors more fully to everyone once more, filling these pews and welcoming newcomer and longtime member alike. Take a look around. Look at the other faces here. We are separated. We're at least every other pew, but we are still a fine-looking group of people. And notice who isn't here yet. Those who feel the need to stay at home, those who have made the decision not to be vaccinated. We don't know how long we'll be able to meet like this. I, for one, won't be surprised if public gatherings such as this won't be possible later this fall or winter. Safety first. For the last year and a half, I've preached to a camera and no one beyond my dog Bowie in the audience. Now, Bowie's not a bad audience member. He may nap more often than not, but he never talks back. And while he has whined once or twice, he never complained I was going on too long, like some beloved parishioners I've known. What a strange time this continues to be. Over the last year and a half, I doubt there's been one sermon I've offered that hasn't included at least one reference to the ongoing COVID pandemic. Even with the vaccines, this continues to be a protracted in-between time we're living in. We will adapt. Things will settle out a bit more fully, but the new normal will not be the same as the normal we have known. Church, like so much in life, will have to change in order to continue. Streaming is just something we have to do. It's a cost of doing business. And for those who never liked worshiping on Sunday mornings anyhow, this brings a long overdue corrective. So there are silver linings here. And still, even as this is a time when we need faith communities, institutions like this one, more than ever, it is not a time in which many, if anyone, wants to check out a new church. I mean, let's face it. Someone may come to church because a friend recommended it, but that's not why anyone stays. People stay when they meet people who make them feel welcome and befriended. People stay because they feel, they trust that they will be nourished by this faith community. They stay because they trust that at least some of their needs for church will be met. A personal story, an origin story of my own, if you will. My father, Donald Meter, died 30 years ago, late next month. Along with my mom, he had been as active a lay leader in their congregation as anyone, serving 2 consecutive terms as board chair and later serving on their search team for their next minister. The church's men's group, in which he had long been active, gave him such devoted care and attention in his last couple years that tears still well up when I think about all they gave to him. My father died late in the early hours of Wednesday morning. By the following Sunday, everyone had heard the news. At church, Mom asked me to stand and announced his death during their joys and sorrows. I hadn't planned on that. What I said was thank you. I had come of age in that congregation before going off to college and then starting off my life 400 or 500 miles away. I thanked them for loving, supporting, and challenging my father to be the person he most longed to be. Because of his involvement in that faith community, my dad was a better father, a better man, and a better person than he would have been otherwise. And that benefited him and subsequently my brother and I. I'd also include my mother in that little list, and while I'm sure that's true to at least, a large degree, I also suspect that there are complications there. I wasn't around for it, but Mom later told me that there was a time that she told Dad she was going on strike. I imagine that the division of household chores had something to do with it, but it was not my place to get involved. Though Mom later did inform me that when Dad took her out for her birthday, to dinner to celebrate her birthday some weeks later, Dad asked her, "So Emily, how's the strike going?" As you can imagine, that did not go over very well. No marriage is perfect. Certainly, no faith community, no church is perfect either. I remember being asked to speak to the youth of another congregation I served. They had some issues with how the church was being run. They found some of the decisions the congregation made hypocritical. Surprise, imagine that. So I met with them, and I listened. I heard them out. And then I talked about lovers' squabbles, of how relationships are never perfect and that there will be conflict along the way. I hadn't planned on framing it that way. Looking back at it now, it seems like a very risky stretch. But they got it. Somehow framing their concerns that way worked well enough. Since then, I've had more reminders than I can count that there is wisdom in that old adage, not to let perfection become the enemy of the good. In church work, in creating the means for people to be supported, loved, and challenged, there are compromises after compromises that are necessary. Now, among creative people, some will favor one form of expression, others something quite different. What is society's most pressing need? Equitable distribution of wealth? Radically shifting our environmental impact? Or providing meaningful restitution to those groups that have been marginalized at best for generations? At least for me, those are impossible questions to answer. Need surrounds us. We take up what stirs us and that which we are most prepared to take up. We are called to do our share, and in doing so, to do our best. When we do, when we can, we'll discover we've grown, matured, and likely become at least a little bit wiser. Before I close this reflection, a poem which one of the congregation, introduced me to recently. This is from Albert Rios, who since 2013 has been the poet laureate of the state of Arizona. The poem is titled, "We Are of a Tribe." We plant seeds in the ground and dreams in the sky. hoping that someday the roots of one will meet the upstretched limbs of the other. It has not happened yet. Still together, we nod unafraid of strangers. Inside us, we know something about each other. We are all members of the secret tribe of eyes, looking upward, even as we stand on uncertain ground. Up there, the dream is indifferent to time, impervious to borders, to fences, to reservations. This sky is our great home. It is the place and the feeling we have in common. This place requires no passport. The sky will not be fenced. Traveler, look up. Stay a while. Know that you always have a home. This homecoming Sunday, whether you are here under these arching cedar beams or at home watching on your couch or kitchen table, may we all know that this place can be a home for us, a place where we find ourselves welcome, a place where we are known, loved, supported, and challenged to more fully live into our promise. What seeds have grown to fulfillment and nourished you? Who planted them? Do you know? Can you guess? What seeds have you planted during your time? What seeds have you yet still to plant? May we together make this place a worthy home for many, those who are here and those who have not yet crossed into this space. May what we do lay a fitting foundation for those who will come after us, carrying the torch we now bear into days we can only now dream of. And now Jennifer has a song for us all.
Before I sing this song, I wanted to say a few words about it because I chose it very intentionally for today and about what it means to me and how it ties into the service. This is a song, it's called North, and I sang it as a part of a mass choir in February of 2020, the last day of February in 2020. And there, it was the choir I was leading, maybe 9, 10 other choirs, 200 people. The youngest person was 6, the oldest person was 90, probably. And we were all standing shoulder to shoulder, singing our hearts out. And the song, as we rehearsed it, we talked about what home meant for us. And something that came up over and over was the fact that home was the communities we're a part of and the people we care about. And it was the last thing we sang in that festival, the last song that we did. And as you can imagine, that was for me the last time that I've ever been in a gathering like that with people so close to each other, doing something we loved, which in this case was singing, but for you could be, anything else. And so I think back to that moment with some grief for all the times the rest of the last year and a half that I haven't been able to have that, but also with incredible gratitude for the experience and for the fact that that community that I was a part of still is there and still is there for me. and also with hope for moments like this where we can gather in whatever capacity we can, and we can be together, and we can find places that feel like home for us. So. We will call this place our home, the dirt in which our roots may grow, through the storms may push and pull. We will call this place our home. We'll tell our stories on these walls, every year measure how tall, and just like a work of art, we'll tell our stories on these walls. Let the years we're here be kind, be kind. Let our hearts like doors open wide, open wide. Settle our bonds like wood over time, over time. Give us bread, give us salt, give us wine. A little broken, a little new. We are the impact and the glue, capable more than we know. We'll call this fixer-upper home. With each year our color fades, slowly our paint chips away, but we will find the strength and the nerve it takes to repaint and repaint and repaint every day. Let the years we're here be kind, be kind. Let our hearts like doors open wide, open wide. Settle our bonds like wood over time, over time. Give us bread, give us salt, give us wine. Let the years we're here be kind, be kind. Let our hearts like doors open wide, open wide. Settle our bonds like wood over time, over time. Give us bread, give us salt, give us wine. Give us bread, give us salt, give us wine. Smaller than dust on this map lies the greatest thing we have, the dirt in which our roots may grow, and the right to call it home.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was beautiful, very touching. This is the time in our service that we usually accept the offering. During COVID times, you may go to our website or contact our finance manager to find out how you may keep up with your pledge or make a donation. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for the planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. Please listen to our next hymn, When We Are Gathered.
Thank you again. Our closing words and the words with which we will extinguish our chalice. The original words are from Boris Novak. This is a translation by Mia Dintinjana. Between two words, choose the quieter one. Between word and silence, choose listening. Between two books, choose the dustier one. Between earth and the sky, choose the bird. Between two animals, choose the one that needs you more. Between two children, choose both. Between the lesser and the larger evil, choose neither. Between hope and despair, choose hope. It will be harder to bear. This morning's chalice is extinguished, but our connections and our faith remain. And before we close this time of worship and reflection, some parting thoughts. Please remember that we gather this morning with the safety of our larger community as our goal. In that light, we ask everyone not to congregate, that verb is intentional, indoors. Regarding what happens outside these walls, I am reminded of the famous injunction offered by the staff sergeant every week in the old TV show Hill Street Blues. Be safe out there. And by that, I mean that I hope you will stay masked and maintain social distancing. That said, as we prepare to take our leave of this time, let's listen once more to Music Gen offering Spirit of Life in English, en français. Jen?
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Vie d'espoir et de justice, ténue-moi, ciel battement, source de vie, viens vers moi, viens vers moi.
Go in peace, go in love, go in joy, and may all be well. Look forward to seeing you at 11:30 in hospitality hour. Go in peace, mes amis. Go in peace.
Thank you. Very beautiful